Howdy, my name is Darren Hibbs with the 10-Week Bible Study, and I wanted to make a video on some thoughts on the Roe versus Wade decision. Colloquially, it's actually called the Dobbs case, if you want to look that up, for the Supreme Court. They just released their decision on June 24th, 2022, and I wanted to just give some thoughts and maybe a little bit different perspective moving forward with this case. First of all, just some facts about the case. This Dobbs case, it does not, it essentially overturns Roe versus Wade, but it doesn't actually make abortion illegal in the United States. It's not a federal ban on abortion. Actually, what this does is it kicks those decisions and those laws back to the states. And so this does not make abortion illegal. Now, there are, I believe, 26 states, individual states, that either already have laws or are ready to make laws immediately making abortion illegal in their states. And so that will make it illegal in at least half of the United States, or half of the states of the United States. Population-wise, that probably won't be the case either, because I know California and New York, they're going to have, abortion is going to continue to be legal there right now. So just from a factual perspective, Roe versus Wade and overturning it, the Dobbs case, it does not make abortion illegal. Different states have done that. Now, to be clear, I'm for that. I'm happy about that. I'm excited about this case, about Roe versus Wade being overturned. I'm happy that there are states where it's illegal. But I'm also filled with sobriety moving forward. And that's what I wanted to talk about. This is a moment, yes, if you've been praying for this, if you've been hoping for this for any amount of time, this is a moment to be happy and excited about what the Lord has done, how the Lord has answered our prayers. It truly is a moment to be filled with joy about, what's just taken place. But at the same time, I think we need to be sober-minded. I fear that many people will, want to just dance on the grave, so to speak, of Roe versus Wade for the foreseeable future. I fear that the division in this country will grow worse if our attitude is, nana, 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 we told you. I don't think that's helpful. I think it's felt like a lot of work and effort getting to this point. Prayer, rallies, all of the things that have happened, laws and advocates and people who have done things to see this through. I think it's felt like a lot of work. But I think if we're going to take this birthing metaphor, I think it's like having a child. This has been the pregnancy and the moment up to that birth, and it's been the actual birth itself. It's been work, it's been tough, it's been painful. And a lot of thought and planning has gone into that. There's been a birth plan, if you will. And a lot of thought has gone into how this is going to happen. And a lot of people, they fixate on that birth moment. And there's nothing wrong with that, unless you fixate on that birthing moment to the exclusion of the next 18 years. And have no plan on how to raise that child or what to do with that child for the next 18 years. That's a problem. When we have no plan for the coming 18 years, that's a problem. And I fear that we don't want to be in that same place now. We don't want to have fixated on this moment and be so happy about this moment that we have no plan moving forward. This is where the work begins. Maybe it's felt like a lot of work, and there's a lot of people that have put a lot of work into this, but this is the moment where the work begins. Things are going to have to change from this point forward. And here's what I mean. I was on the board of directors for a pregnancy help center, for lack of a better term, and I would love that if we could come up with some better terms for that, because I think there's a stigma behind pregnancy help centers where people have this idea that all a pregnancy help center does is gives a woman a cheap pregnancy test and then heaps guilt and shame on her for even considering abortion. I'm sure in the past that's happened. I'm sure it probably still happens today in various places. But that by no means, not even close. That does not describe most of the pregnancy help centers in the United States. It just doesn't. And I've had a lot of interactions with people online and in person where the pushback, when any these kind of decisions happen, people are filled with anger and rage, really, and the pushback against people like me, people that would consider themselves pro-life, people that are Christian, is, you're not going to do anything to help them. You just care that they can't kill the baby or have the abortion. You don't care about the baby. You're not actually pro-life. You don't care about the baby or the mother. And I hear that, and I think that they believe that with all of their heart. And I think there's some reality to that, but I think it's also misguided, because there are places and there are people that are doing those things. There really are lots of people that are engaged in helping those women and being there for those children. There really are. I was part of one of those organizations. And we didn't do the thing where we just gave a girl a pregnancy test and then berated her for wanting an abortion. We didn't do that. We did offer pregnancy tests. We did do counseling. We did do those kinds of things. But we also facilitated adoptions, open adoptions, where the birth mother could potentially, and almost in every case, be a part of that child's life for the rest of their life. That the child always knew who their birth mother was. It was in be involved in their life. We facilitated open adoptions. Those are hard work, but they're worth it. We would actually help women. There were many times where we would pay rent or part of rent and electrical bills, water bills, those kinds of things. Help them get their high school diploma. Help them get through college. We did those kinds of things. There really are organizations and people out there that want to do that. They're all over the place. And so I encourage you, this is a moment now where it's time for us to step up and spend our time and our resources, our time and our money. All our resources are our time and our money. And some of us may have time and not money. Some of us may have money and not time. Maybe you don't have either. I don't know what to do about that. But this is a moment for us to spend our resources to help these women. I think if all we do, and this may sound harsh, but I want to say it very clearly and very boldly, if all we do is vote for pro-life candidates and nothing else, we don't give of our time, our resources to any of these kinds of things, then I think the people that would say you're just anti-choice or anti-abortion, you're not pro-life, you don't care about anything, I think that their criticism is valid. If all we do is vote against abortion, then that makes us anti-abortion. If we want to be pro-life, this is a moment for us to move beyond just voting and hoping and praying, but to be pro-life advocates. People who are there for the people going through this, for the young women and the babies. One of the things that the organization I was a part of spent considerable time and resources giving logistical and physical felt need things to these young mothers. And almost all of them were teenagers, right? All of the young mothers that bravely chose not to abort their children and parent their children, they were teenage mothers. And so we would have regular trainings, like weekly trainings, and we actually facilitated, mentor mothers for these young women to be intimately involved in their lives and helping them. But we had regular trainings, weekly trainings, and monthly events, different things where we gave them the things that they need, trained them, parented them on how to parent their children, because they need that. They were teenage mothers. And there's going to be an explosion of teenage mothers, if this law or if this Supreme Court decision has the effect that we want it to have, there's going to be an explosion of teenage mothers. And we need to be there to help facilitate everything that they need and train them how to parent those children. Because we don't want the criticism that people have of us is that we just want these babies. We don't care about them. We just want them born into desperation, in destitute poverty. We don't want that. We want them. We want those children. We want them born into opportunity. We want them to have every opportunity that we would want for our own children. That's what we want for them. And so we have to be there and ready to help provide that for them and make that a reality. One of the heartbreaking things that organization faced for a long time was that all of these young women that we were helping, they were teenage mothers. They were young mothers. And when they would come into our organization, we were unashamedly Christian. And many of them would get saved. Many of them would turn their hearts back to the Lord. They may have grown up in church. They would give their lives back to the Lord. And what would they want to do except immediately start going to church? And what would be the most logical place for them to go but the youth group? They were 14, 15, 16, some of them very young. And they would go to the youth group. And I'm sad to say that in almost every situation, they weren't accepted. And one of the reasons they weren't accepted is because parents didn't want, their young men or women around, these people. They thought, I don't want them around these promiscuous teenagers and with their pregnant belly or their little children in tow. I don't want them around that. I have young daughters. I have children. I have teenager right now, one about to be. And I get that. I get that. I understand the sentiment. But we're in a moment right now where we're going to have to move as a church beyond this pious prudence and face reality. Now, that doesn't mean that we change standards of what we consider moral and immoral. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that we accept reality for what it is. And that if this has the effect that we want it to have, there will be an explosion of young, unwed mothers with babies in tow. So this is our moment as a church to jump in and help, to spend our resources on these young women and these children. Pastors, I want to encourage you. This Sunday, I imagine there's going to be tens of thousands of churches around the United States where the pastor is going to get up and say, we won, we did it, we prayed, we got our victory. But I want to encourage you, pastors. I want to encourage you, leaders, that you also temper that with, now things are going to change. Because we're going to be a welcoming environment for these mothers and for these children. We are going to welcome them in with open arms. We want them here. Pastors, this is a moment for our churches. We've got to alert everyone in our church that we want them. This needs to be an opening and accepting place for them to come, so that we can disciple them, we can train them, we can parent them as they parent their children, that we can be there for them, not reject them. This isn't a moment to gloat in our victory and turn a blind eye. What we're asking them to do is difficult. It's powerful. It's beautiful, but it's difficult. And we need to be ready to be there. We need to lace up our boots. This is that moment. We can be happy about this victory, but we have got to be happy while we're putting on our boots and getting ready to get to work and to get dirty. This isn't clean. This isn't easy. This is messy. This is difficult, but it's worth it. It's worth it. But it takes effort. This may be a moment where you're thinking, I want to be involved in a more serious way. Maybe you want to join staff in one of these places. Maybe you want to open one of these kinds of centers. Maybe your church wants to be one of those centers. If this has the effect that we want it to have, we're going to need these places to have more staff. We're going to need more people. We're going to need more people to facilitate all of the things that have to happen, all of the things. We're going to need more of them. Some cities are going to need 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 of these centers with 100 staff apiece. We've got to be thinking of how big this is and the resources we need to be ready right now to start throwing at it. So I want to encourage you. Be happy about the decision, yes, but be sober-minded and be ready to get to work. My hope and my prayer, again, is that when all the dust settles from this, when all the anger and the rage settles, and I pray that it does settle quickly, that every pro-abortion person in America will be able to stop and say, wow, that they will truly know the church, that they will truly know that we are Christians by our love. That we as the church in America would truly love these young women, that we would truly love these children. Yes, this is a moment to celebrate, but it's a moment to prayerfully consider where we personally and where we corporately, as a local church congregation, as a church in America, where we go from here. Pastors, please talk with your staff, talk with your youth pastors, talk with your parents in your church. Get them ready. Get them ready to welcome these people in with open arms. Make your church ready. Be a place where they can come and receive Jesus and grow in him and know him. Let's change a generation. Let's not turn our backs on them. Lord, make us a people that are ready. Make us a people that are willing. Make us a people that are truly known by our love. That in this moment that we would shine in this nation and see lives transformed for you. The organization that I was talking about, I didn't say their name. I think I'm hoping for obvious reasons. I don't want to bring more trouble on them than may come already. I pray that that's not the case. But if you would like more information about the organization that I was involved with or other organizations in your area, I would love to have a dialogue with you. You can email me at me@darrenhibbs.com. You can look for my contact information in the description here, wherever you're getting this. I would love to have a dialogue with you and point you in the right direction to where we can begin to facilitate these kinds of services, these kinds of organizations for these women and children. They're necessary. They're powerful. Again, they're hard work. They're dirty, but they're so beautiful. They're so beautiful. Please join with me. Let's all believers in this nation. Let's join together and be ready, be prepared to do everything that we can. Be gracious. Let's be gracious in our attitude toward those that aren't as happy about this. Let's show them deference and patience and love. And let's put on our boots and do that work. To see these people raised in love and opportunity. Let's be a church that is truly can be called pro-life advocates. Thanks for watching to the end. Again, if you would like to get in touch with me, if you'd like to know more about these kinds of organizations, please get in touch with me. I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks.